So this vlog today is about marker work. I said in the previous video it's going to be about marker work, and that's exactly where it is. So let's go to a lake and see whether we can get the marker in good place or in use. Free parking, that's always a bonus. So this vlog today is about marker work. I said in the previous video it's going to be about marker work, and that's exactly where it is. So let's go to a lake and see whether we can get the marker in good place or in use. It's not the best weather, to be honest, but I'm a bit worried about the camera gear. Right, let's get out, let's go and have a look. Let's see whether we can learn together. So we're here, Walker Wood, Brushes Resi, Lower Swine Shore Resi. We're down here somewhere. Now it shows us two little ponds here. We're in this one here. You are here. Better go and try something.
I like you so obtaining. The poundings of my heart reveals the kicks and snares of drums. We fight joy, ours both revolt. Our freedom's out.
So let's have a look round the lake. Now this is Millbrook Dam in Stalybridge. It's Carp Angling Club. I've done quite a few videos on these waters already. In fact, I've done one on here just when I did a quick few hours to get out and do a vlog. And this is a good lake for me to have a look at things. Why this lake? Why am I doing it on this lake? Well, I'll explain why. This is a miniature of a big lake, which means you'll see dead end. Just shows how many times I've walked down this part of the lake. I always walk down that side of the lake. Right, better turn around. Now this is the shallows. I'm going to show you something in a minute, which is the inlet. The water's coming in, but it tends to slow down a little bit in the summer because there's not as much water kicking about. So this is the inlet. With it being winter, there's a lot more water coming through now, and it is what it is. It's just water pushing through the lake. It's bringing cooler water in as well, so you have to bear in mind that if it's really cold, this might be really cold as well. But the sun's on it, and backing off by a couple of meters, you might get a mix between the warm water and the cool water. You need to find that pocket where the fish are, so you need to look to see where the fish are. Oh. Observations, that's all it is observations, basic things. I've not met one, I'm not an expert, but I've not met one expert yet. We're all learning, we've all got to try new things, we've all got to try and find a way to find where the fish are, and without looking and just having a bit of nous, you might struggle to find fish. But it doesn't mean if you find them they're going to pick your feed up. They might not be feeding. That's what it's all about. That's exactly what it's all about. Anyway, let's have a look at the middle of the lake, because that's a good point to talk about as well, is the middle of the lake. So what we're going to do next Right, what we're going to do next is we're going to put the marker out and try and find different depths. We're going to try and find some holes. Now what happens is fish feed in bloodworm beds, and they feed and they feed and they feed, and as they feed they create little holes in the bottom of the lake. So you can find a little areas where debris and food is pushed into these holes. We call them carp holes of all things. Other fish feed there too. Well, I call them carp holes, I think other people do as well. So when you're doing that, it gives yourself the opportunity with your marker to find these spots. Now they usually give the spots away because the bubbles come up. Fish show there, they might roll. So observations again, keep on looking. Flat spots. We've got a slight ripple on the water now, a very slight ripple. And as a result of that, we've got a better chance of seeing flat spots. So it's flat calm, you don't see any flat spots. You just see the lake as it is. Kind of fun, I know, but right, let's have a look at the middle of the lake. Let's talk about that. Right, now this part of the lake is what I call no man's land. Why do I call it that? That's my opinion. I call it no man's land. It's the point where either in the middle of the day when the sun's in the shallows in the winter, the fish are down there, or at night time they were down on the dam wall over there. But also you do get them holding up in the middle. That's why I call it no man's land, because you're not entirely sure if there's anything there. The only way you're going to find that out is through observations, watching what's going on with water. Keep looking at vision, find the fish, always find the fish. Again, birds. Where's the birds? Right slap in the middle of the lake there. So that must be a constant temperature there. It must be something the birds are happy to sit in, because they need to be comfortable as well. Look for bubbles now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to look for nitrates and different things in the water where those birds are. It's a good indication where you're going to find fish. So they may not be in the shallows because it's getting kind of cooler now, the water's cooling off, and it's not sunny, as you can see. It's not sunny at all. So with that in mind, be vigilant, be very vigilant. Well, this side of the lake is damn warm. So this is kind of like when you get a big reservoir where it's been dammed off one side and shallowed on the other side. So as you've seen before, there's a stream down there where the water enters. Now that's a good point, because oxygenated water in the summer down there is great. You know, so unless you know this simple fact that in the summer, when there's a lot of weed in the water, a shallow part of the lake at night loses its oxygen. There's a lot of weed there, and with the sun being on there, if the sun came down and heated that part of the lake up a lot, then you got a lot of weed growth. And as a result of that, down that part of the lake, if there was a lot of weed at night time, the oxygen levels will change and the fish will move further down the lake into this part of the lake here, down there, where there's still weed but there's more oxygen. Let's be honest, how many times do you actually feel like eating if you're struggling for a breath? That's exactly what it's like. But in winter, why? Right the way across this lake, unless when the sun comes up and heats the shallow part of the lake, like in the other video, we end up with warmer water down there. So you will get fish in the winter going down there where it's warmer water, but as the sun sets and the temperatures drop a little bit, that upper layer of water, which is warm, then becomes cool, and the fish slowly come to this side of the dam. So it's not a big dam, so it can travel from there to there in a matter of minutes. This is why it's important. So if you want to get your bait down and you're doing a night session, you want to make sure that your bait is either here in the deeper water or down the other end in the shallows, so that you've got a chance of picking a fish up migrating from the shallow end to the deep end. Now here's the thing, don't avoid the margins. Now they can either do one of three things, two things actually, two. They can travel down the margins all the way down this point here, right the way across there, from swim to swim. keeping in the warmer water as the sun goes down in the evening, or they can go straight down the middle of the lake. That's where you might pick the odd fish up as they're going from the shallows to the deeper water. I suggest you put a rod in the margin and one a little bit further out. Just try and catch them commuting down the lake. Not a bad little thing to remember, that the margins are critical. So we need to find where they're going to be, where they're going to be the most comfortable. So just think about it, have a look round, keep on looking. Again, you must keep on looking, and if you've got to move, move. So if you're down the shallows here now at night time, get down the other end of the lake, do what you need to do, but be active, be as active as they will be to try and find comfort. So right, you've gone out, you've looked around the lake, you're going to try and find out what you're actually going to do. So what tools can you use for that? We can use a lead for throwing around into the lake. You can do all manner of different things. Now here's the thing, I've opted for the mark float to come straight off the back of the lead, as you can see there. Now that suits me fine, because on the bottom of this lake, as you can see now, there's actually nothing there, there's no weed. But if it was to fish in a weedy water, I'd put a little boom on. I think I've got one in my pocket. See if I found one. I think I put one in my pocket. I put that little boom on. Why the boom? Well, the boom helps it to bring the float up away from the 6 inches of weed, which you'll see in the clip I'm showing you now on another water that I was fishing. So you get an indication that you do need sometimes to bring your marker away from the bottom of the lake, but on here there's no weed on it, it's just gravel, stones, that kind of thing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try and cast the rig out and see if we can find the different depths. So once you actually put the rig into the water, once you put the marker float into the water, you reel it down so that the float hits the lead or the top of the boom, depending on what you're actually doing. Once it's actually there on the bottom of the lake, draw it back, find out what's on the bottom of the lake. So this is what I do all the time. I cast it out, I bring down the float to the lead, and I draw it back. Once you've cast it out, wind it back, make sure the line's tight. Would you believe it? That's just got snagged. These things happen. There we go, we freed it. That must have been stuck on a rock. When I tried to pull a lead to the bottom, it must have been caught on something. I've got it free now. What you do, you just bounce the lead across the bottom until you find some gravel. What I want you to do is just to pull the rod back in that kind of motion and just feel what's on the bottom. You'll feel silt, you'll feel stones, gravel, mud, loads of different things. But while you're pulling it, if you feel it drop into a hole while you're pulling it back, what I want you to do is to, oh, I found one there. I want you to just rise the float up. I want you to take that mark. So clip it up now, put it on the line clip, and just let the float come to the top. Now, how you do that, undo your drag on the front of the reel, and just every foot, just mark it up until you see the float come to the top. Like so. Now remember to count off how many foot you've got from the bottom of the lake to the top of the lake, and also remember you've got the boom, make sure you allow the drop of the boom as well. So we'll do that again. Now what I want you to do is cast all over the lake when there's nobody on there. Etiquette again, there's nobody on this lake today, so it's fine for me to do some mapping. The best time to map a water is in winter. Cast it out again, let it drop, and count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 foot. Shall we bring it back and see if we can find the hole again? There's a snag there. I'll come over the snag. Now mark the snag as well, because the snag is a good place to fish to, or close to it, because fish hold up near snags. So that underwater snag on the bottom is a fantastic place for you to decide to put your rigs around. Now just be careful, find out what kind of snag it is first. I mean, that pulled over it, so I'm guessing it might be bricks or that kind of thing. So that's a good point on the lake to look at. Found the hole now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 foot, right? Now what I'm going to do also is reel it in a little bit more and tighten it up a bit. Let's pull it out of the hole. Right, that's now out of the hole. Measure that. Now remember, I clipped it up at the hole, so if you find the hole again, clip it up, and then you know where to put your rigs out with your marker sticks. There's another video in itself, marker sticks. Pull that back down again, I was talking to you. Let's just measure that now at the side of the hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what we've got there is a little hole, a place where the fish are digging down, finding food and creating a little kind of what we call carp hole. That's one place. Now also, when you've got a chance, go all over the lake and try and find other spots, your little holes, and just mark them off on a map. Or if you haven't got a map, mark them off on a piece of paper. Yeah, clip them up and count out on your marker sticks, which is another video I'll do later on, whereabouts it is on the lake. Also look onto the horizon and find spots where you'll find, so mark out what's in the horizon, how many wraps, whereabouts it is, clip it up. That's what I'll talk about in a minute, so you get an idea. So that's just that part of it. Don't be frightened of casting around. It's important that you cast around. Don't be frightened of that. Back to the bottom again, pull it across. Now on a small lake like this, I don't use braid because I find braids tend to go a bit weak. Do you know what I use? 20 pound Daiwa monofilament. That's what I tend to use. Pulling it back. Got a hole there, felt another hole there. Right, clip it up. Mark it off. Shall we see how deep that is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 foot. Now I'm going to cast further down the lake now and see how deep it is there. So it should level off, go from shallow to deep. It's going to be quite consistent, but you will find these holes if you look consistently. Not the best day to it's chucking it down rain. Really should have my carp rods out because this is perfect for carp fishing. Again, there's nobody on the lake. Etiquette. Cast around, find some spots. Don't be frightened. Now I'd spend a full day doing this on a lake when there's nobody here. That's quite silty there. Now, what's silty? Well, silty is where the mud you get. When you go in a football field and you see the mud in the centre circle, that's pretty much what you're fishing to. Really thick mud on the bottom of the lake. It's basically silt. So far, coming from the centre of the lake towards this bank here, it's silt. Out there's a lot of snags and there's a lot of gravel right out in front of me, so off this peg. So to the left silt, to the right deeper water, and there's a few holes as well. Now what I tend to find is you're getting the silt, and what I'm finding is the silt has these little pockets of gravel where they're clearing the silt away all the time. So anything that comes out of the silt has fallen into the hole and it's natural food for them. That's a good point. That's something else that we can all look at. I learn all the time through doing this, and maybe you could do it too. This is exactly how we do our fishing. So if you like this kind of thing, don't forget to like and subscribe, press that bell button, and we'll see if we can help each other fish, because a few people said I've got to learn how to fish. Let's learn together if we're not very good at it. It's for you to make that decision, not me. Comment below, press the bell button, and let's talk about it. Yeah, let's see what we can do to make it all better for each other. I'm going to carry on with a marker float for the next 2 hours, mapping everything that's on the lake, horizons, which peg, everything that needs to be done. Map it, map it, map it. Observe, keep your eyes out there, keep on looking for things, because it's all about trying to find the fish. Yeah, it's that simple. It is what it is.
I couldn't help but notice, enlightened by the moment, so I cherish and hold it. I seen you posing in a golden silhouette, lives flip like a light switch the day our eyes chose to connect. So we was on to the next, the perfect set, sitting under sunsets. I guess I never quite let go.